Hi everybody, I'm going to read a book today called Stinkalope Tex and his Stomp-N-Glo Boots. This is the first children's book that I ever wrote, and it's a little bit long, but we'll see if we can get through it. Let's go. There's a town that's called Sweetville, way out on the plains, where it's warm and it's sunny, except when it rains. All the people of Sweetville are good, happy folk who can raise healthy children and tell a good joke. They will tend to their gardens and sing in the choir, and they'll rush to help out any time there's a fire. Oh yes, life there was peaceful, the air fresh and sweet, and the townsfolk would wave to whomever they'd meet. But one day, without warning, folks noticed a change, for the sweet-smelling air now smelled different and strange. It all started one morning about 6 o'clock, just when Constable Sue had gone out on her walk. "Oh my goodness," she said as she sniffed in the air, "why a bad-smelling day round these parts is quite rare. For it's normal for things to be fresh as a flower. But oh my, right now it is smelling quite sour." Around noon, the town smelled like a pile of manure, and by 3 it smelled more like an open-pit sewer. All the townsfolk came running to Constable Sue. "We can't take this bad smell. Tell us, what can we do?" "This smells from the west," declared Sue. "I can tell. So we'd better get going and ride toward the smell. And we'll need everyone. We don't know what's in store, for it could be 10,000 stink beetles or more." So the townsfolk went home and prepared to do battle, leaving just a few people to tend to the cattle. Then they saddled their ponies and gathered their things, and each one brought with them some clothespins and strings for the pinching of noses to keep out the stink, even though that turned most of their noses quite pink. "Yes, sirree," said Old Red, "I can't smell one darn thing, but the stink is so awful it makes my eyes sting." At the edge of the town, by the old county jail, they all mounted their ponies and hit the old trail. They rode west, the whole group, and the smell got much stronger. Then Old Red said to Sue, "I can't take this much longer. My poor eyes are all bloodshot. My face has gone numb. Tell me, how will we find where this stink's coming from?" All the teary-eyed townsfolk agreed with Old Red. "It smells bad where we are, but it's worse up ahead." But then just when it looked like the people might fail, they all noticed a man just ahead on the trail. He was dressed like a cowboy and stood facing west with a gigantic cowboy hat, boots, and a vest. Then he turned around slowly, and all the folks froze. On his face was the biggest, most enormous nose. The man looked at the people, then said with a wink, "Now then, what's this I hear about a horrible stink?" "I'm not sure what you mean by a stink, I must say, for I think that it is a most beautiful day. Yes, the weather is warm, and the breeze light and sweet, and the bees are all buzzing around the mesquite. There are flowers in bloom, I can smell every one, when they open their petals and turn toward the sun." "Hey, now wait just a minute," piped up Constable Sue. "You can't smell that great stink that the rest of us do?" "Why, you bet that I can," said the stranger. "Of course. I can smell anything from a flea to a horse. For my nose is the best. It's as keen as can be. I can smell things that you people can't even see. If a cowboy should burp from 3 counties away, I could tell what he ate for his breakfast that day." "Well, okay," declared Sue. "Now we all understand that your nose is the finest in all of the land." "Yep, there's no one like me," said the man, "and I've checked, and there's no smell on earth that my nose can't detect. Now then, let me just see." And he took a small whiff. Then he turned his nose upward and gave a big sniff. "There's a smell that I smell, and it's more than just faint. It's a smell that most certainly is drying paint. Just a small bit of air, I think, carries that smell. Do you think it's that paint that has made you unwell?" At that Constable Sue replied, "What? Drying paint? No, this smell is so foul, it makes us all faint. It's so icky and yucky and putrid and vile that it stunk up the county for mile after mile. It is not drying paint, it is something more awful, and if I had the power I would make it unlawful." "Oh, all right," said the stranger. "Calm down, it's okay. I will smell all the smells that came by here today." There's a smidgen of cactus, a whiff of fresh rain, and a good bit of dirt that's been blown from the plain. There's a very small mix that is all kinds of stuff, from some freshly baked bread to white cottonwood fluff.
"That's just smidgens and whiffs," Sue declared, "and all those are not like the bad stink that is causing our woes."
"I'm not done," said the man. "Now in most of the air is the smell from that great herd of stinkalopes there." Then the townsfolk saw something that gave them a fright, a most terrible, hideous, disgusting sight.
"It can't be," cried the crowd as they looked toward the creek. "It's a stinkalope herd. Oh, the outlook is bleak."
There the stinkalopes stood in their own filthy ooze, calmly passing the time with a light evening snooze. Their dull greenish-brown hides looked like old chopped-up liver, and they stood there all trapped by a bend in the river. They just lay around stinking in all sorts of poses. All the townspeople stared, and they all held their noses. You know, stinkalopes aren't like a duck or an otter. They will never set even one hoof into water. And they never take baths, as you surely can tell. That is why they give off such a horrible smell. For their skin and their fur and their hoofs and their ears all just soak up the stinkness for years upon years. And the stink that comes off of those beasts has the power to make all the milk in 3 counties turn sour. The good Constable Sue looked as shocked as the rest.
"I thought stinkalopes vanished from most of the West."
"That is true," sighed the stranger. "So many have died, but still some of these critters found places to hide. There are plenty of canyons where nobody goes, where some stinkalopes wander without causing woes. They can hide so that no one will find them by chance. They like dark, smelly places, like old sewage plants, or the train yards or dumps, or about anywhere where the smell is so strong you don't notice they're there."
"So I see," replied Sue, "but I really must know, right before we find some way to make them all go, how on earth did these beasts get so close to our home? And what makes them all stay here? Why don't they roam?"
"Oh, and also," said Red, "if your nose is so strong, how on earth can you stand there like nothing is wrong? Why, if I had your powerful nose, I would hope that I'd never come near even one stinkalope." The old stranger just smiled and gave Red a wink. "I just love every smell, and no, none of them stink. For that stinkalope smell has on me no effects, and I guess that's why folks call me Stinkalope Tex." Then Stinkalope Tex asked out loud, "Now I wonder how that great herd of stinkalopes made such a blunder. You know, stinkalopes really are not very bright. They've been known to just wander toward any bright light. They will sleep all day long till the bright moon comes out. Then they'll follow its glowing and roam all about. Now the problem, you see, it's been cloudy for days, and the stinkalope herd just lost track of its ways. See, they normally roam from the east and then back, as each night the moon makes its east to west track. But sometimes there's no moon, and they'll wander around till some other bright light in the sky can be found. Let me sit here and ponder," muttered Tex with a frown. "Why, of course, that's the reason they came to your town. I'll just bet they wandered till early this week, when they noticed the light up on South Baldy Peak." All the townspeople looked, and right there, sure enough, was a glimmering light far away on the bluff. It shone from the town's brand new radio tower, which was broadcasting news all the day on the hour.
"Oh, our town is in trouble. It's much worse than we think. I don't think that we'll ever get rid of this stink."
"Now don't worry," said Tex. "Leave it all up to me. Those old stinkalopes soon will be leaving, you'll see. For I've got just the tools to get rid of those brutes. They're right down on my feet here, my Stomp-N-Glo Boots. Then he showed off the boots on the end of his feet, and they truly did look very stylish and neat. These are genuine bona fide Stomp-N-Glo Boots. They were made from the tips of dried juniper roots.
What are Stomp-N-Glo Boots? Questioned Constable Sue. I can see what they look like, but what do they do?
Let me show you, said Tex. Shh, now don't say a word. Then he tiptoed on down to the Stinkalope herd. He stood still for a moment, then turning around, quickly stomped with both feet all at once on the ground. Stomp, stomp, stomp with the left foot, stomp, stomp with the right. And then slowly his Stomp-N-Glo boots gave off light. It began with a faint greenish firefly glow, but when Tex stomped some more, it continued to grow. Very soon the glow changed from a green to a white. Why, those Stomp-N-Glo boots really lit up the night. Tex danced strangely about like a big flightless bird all around the great beasts in the Stinkalope herd. Then the Stinkalopes swung round their great smelly necks, and they looked at those boots there on Stinkalope Tex. And they moved. Yes, they did, those big mangy old brutes. They all started to move with their eyes on those boots. They fell into a line, nose to tail. They were going, all while Stinkalope Tex danced before them, boots glowing. Then Tex hopped on his pony and rode down the trail, with a great herd of Stinkalopes right on his tail. Now don't light up your lights, shouted Tex to the town. Close up all of your curtains and pull your shades down. These beasts just might come back, and you wouldn't want that. Then he turned in his saddle and he waved with his hat. All the townspeople cheered as the herd moved along, with old Stinkalope Tex up front singing a song. Oh, there's thousands of smells, and about them I've sung, from the prettiest rose to a big pile of dung. And I love every one, yes, my heart really swells, because life would be boring without all these smells. And then Stinkalope Tex, with his boots shining bright, led that great herd of Stinkalopes into the night. When the sun rose again, as it does every day, the fresh air again smelled like newly mown hay, and like lilacs and roses and sage and mesquite, and like all of those things that smell pretty and sweet. And around about noon, good old Tex rode back in, sitting tall in the saddle, on his face a big grin. Why, I led that great herd, every last stinky beast, for about 40 miles, heading north by northeast. And I left them there, happy, all grazing in clover. You can bet your last buck that your troubles are over. Now remember, don't turn all your lights up too bright when the moon isn't out on an overcast night.
You deserve a reward, shouted Constable Sue. Please just tell us how much and we'll give it to you.
All the townspeople pulled out their wallets and checks, and they crowded in closer to Stinkalope Tex. But old Tex shook his head and he told the folks, no, I've got people to help and have places to go. For I must put my nose to good work, don't you see? It's the way I was born and the way I must be. There's an outbreak of skunk pox along in South Pruitt, and my work here is done, so I better hop to it. So with a great big yahoo and a couple of hoots, off rode Stinkalope Tex in his Stomp-N-Glo Boots. There you go, Stinkalope Tex in his Stomp-N-Glo Boots. Unpublished. Maybe someday I'll get it published and you can read it in your own home. Until then, we'll see you next time.